Hi everyone, Aiden here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kuat Piston Pro X 2-bike rack and seeing how it fits on the back of our 2023 Subaru Outback. This is going to be a high-end platform style rack. It's got a lot of great convenience features and it's just a cool rack. It looks nice and it's easy to use like any Kuat rack you would expect. It's going to hold the bike in these trays and with the dual wheel mount design. These wheel hoops will slide over each one, ratchet into place, making for a no frame contact hold. This can be good for carbon frame bikes and alternative frame bikes, and with a 67-pound weight capacity per bike, good for some of our e-bikes too. So if you have a bike that's also maybe a little bit heavier than that 60-pound limit that you see on a lot of other racks, this does give you a little bit of extra wiggle room to work. Like many other racks of this class, you have the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded. There's going to be a pedal right here next to our cable lock and the first tray that can be pulled to lower the rack down. Watch out for your head because it does tilt back quite a bit, and if you've got it fully loaded you might hit some handlebars. But this lets us open up the back hatch with plenty of room to spare on our Outback, giving us room to walk in here, maybe drop in some groceries if we're at the grocery store, or just have a place to sit down, take off our helmet, change our shoes before or after a ride, whatever we need to do. I will point out that if you've got longer legs, it does sit a little bit close, so maybe not the most comfortable for that, but it's possible, and you don't have to worry about your bikes. Now closing this up, once it's shut, you just have to lift the bike rack back into place and it'll lock in. A couple things to point out about it before we get the bike removed. It does have integrated lights at the back that do require 4-pole wiring. So if the tires on your bike maybe block your taillights like they do a little bit here, and you want some extra visibility at the back end, just pick up some 4-pole wiring, plug in your vehicle information to our fit guide, and find the right kit for you. But the wiring does come with the bike rack, and those lights are integrated right into the back. And as far as getting the bike removed, it's going to be really straightforward. These piston arms on the outside, when you press those, the arms just open themselves. So we'll go up, do that to the bike with one hand on the rack, or one hand on the bike, the other hand on those piston arms. Whenever you press the button, it might get kind of caught up on the tread of your tire. No worries, just push it out a little bit extra and they'll open up. And they don't open up super far for our larger mountain bike here, but if you need extra room, you can always push it out further manually and then just lift your bike up and away. The nice thing about those arms opening up to either side is that nothing is in our way once they're open. You can just lift the bike straight up or straight off without any obstructions. And then all you have to do is bring those arms back in and push them down. I do also want to point out the adjustment for different wheel sizes. Just pinch these two levers together, and there's multiple locking points along that arm. So if you've got a bike with smaller or larger tires, you can adjust that tool-free and on the fly. And at this point, I do want to take some time to get some measurements. There is a good rise in the shank here. So starting off with our ground clearance, we're going to be working with 23 inches of space at the back end. That's actually quite a bit. So compared to some other racks out there, you're going to get a little bit of extra ground clearance. It's really nice because I don't think you have to worry about that for anything, steep driveways or hills, things like that. And for the distance added to the back, we're going to be coming in at 27 inches. That also is actually really good compared to some other racks out there. It's pretty close to the average that we've worked with for a 2-bike rack today, but it does sit on that lower end. So it's very condensed, very sleek, and if we want to save some extra space between rides, leave it in the hitch, we can just fold it up. Using that same pedal that we did before, it'll fold upright like that and cut down on the space we're adding to the back of our vehicle by quite a bit. It now only sticks out about 12.5 inches, making this a very compact shape. Some things to point out back here while it's folded up. Those taillights are still visible, so if you have it hooked up to your 4-pole wiring, they're still going to be firing off signals here at the back for turn signals, brake lights, running lights. They don't block your existing factory lights, they don't block your license plate, and it doesn't block your backup camera. I do think it's going to be visible in the backup camera, but it's not going to fully obstruct it like many other bike racks do. It uses a anti-rattle device that's actually built into the rack. It's not tool-free, but the tool stores and locks on the rack, held in place by a magnet and securing with a lock. And that's done down here to tighten up the rack in the hitch, keeping it nice and solid. I'm not worried about vehicle contact because it doesn't come too close to the bumper and it doesn't have a lot of movement. And then down at the hitch, it's working with our 2" by 2" receiver tube, held in place with a locking hitch pin. That lock is key-like to this locking point up top for the anti-rattle tool and for the locking point that our cable lock uses. And as far as the piston goes, it's going to be a really nice bike rack. It's got a lot of neat features, but if you don't need all the bells and whistles, you like the dual wheel mount style, but you're just looking for something a little bit more bare bones, still rock solid, and still with a lot of benefits, I'd recommend the Rocky Mounts guide rail. Both are very similar. This one just has a lot of extra things like those lights and the automatic opening arms. If you don't need that, the guide rail is a perfectly fine option, and both are going to fit really well on a 2023 Subaru Outback. Thanks for watching.